But guys, when it comes to the BRRRR method, I mentioned earlier, we need to be able to buy at a discount, right? So there's two simple strategies or ways in which we are going to essentially accomplish a goal. All right. So when it comes to the BRRRR method, we're going to use two simple ways to achieve a simple goal. That goal is this, guys: be all in for less than 80% of what it will appraise for after the rehab is completed. Now, again, I mentioned earlier, sometimes we can bypass the rehab, sometimes we can bypass even renting it. But again, that's typically going to come with a bunch of experience and a great relationship with your lender. If you are new, you are most likely going to have to rehab the property and get it rented. And you might even have 4 or 5 or even 6 months of seasoning. That's okay. Once you do that 2, 3, 4 times with your lender, you're going to be able to negotiate with that lender and get the seasoning to go away completely.
Hey, David, can you quickly explain what seasoning is?
Yes, of course. So seasoning is essentially the bank's way of reducing its risk even more. So we talked a little bit about this already. Banks want to reduce their risk. That's why they don't lend 80% of what a property appraises for when you are buying it. They will only do that when you are refinancing it, right? Well, if you are new to the game and you don't have any rentals, or maybe you only have a couple, the bank's going to say, hey, we're good with an 80% refinance, but we want to make sure you know what you're doing. So we want to make sure that you own the property for 6 months and or that you've rented it successfully for 6 months. And essentially they're just saying, prove it to us that you know what you're doing. And they're going to want to see the bank statements of the money coming into your account from you collecting it from your tenants. Well, after you get through 4 or 5 or 6 months, and that's all to be negotiated, by the way, then they're going to say, all right, cool. We've checked the box that David is a stand-up guy and, knows how to collect rent from his tenants and is doing what he says he's going to do. And again, they are doing this to reduce their risk with you. So again, if you are new to this or you haven't done a bunch of rentals, you're most likely going to have seasoning. And in fact, when I go to a new bank, even after doing 200 of these, they often require me to have seasoning at least for the first couple deals. And then after we do a couple deals, I can then go in and I can say, guys, this seasoning is a pain in my butt. I'm going to go elsewhere if you don't remove it. And then they remove it, right? So it's definitely to be something that can be negotiated. But seasoning is simply, the ability to reduce risk by showing and proving that you are capable of being a landlord for the most part. Yeah, good question, Shroud. So guys, the goal, so simple: be all in. All in is in all caps here for a reason. For less, equal to or less than, ideally less than 80% of what it appraises for, because that's what the bank's going to lend. So when I say all in, I don't just mean purchase. I'm talking purchase, rehab, holding costs, interest, utilities, closing costs. When I say all in, I mean all in, everything. So that typically means that we're buying properties at 70 to 75% of the ARV minus repairs. And then we're also going to gain a few percent, not a ton, 3, 4, 5% additional value by doing the rehab. So if we can be all in at 75% and the bank gives us an 80% loan, I can use that additional 5% to cover my hard money or my private money interest and acquire an asset that's been rehabbed, by the way, at top of the market rent with very low risk, tenants that are going to want to stay, right? And it's going to rent quickly because of the fact that it's rehabbed. So that rehab is definitely part of the process. So guys, what are the two simple ways that we're going to use to achieve being all in at 80%? Well, number one, it's buying it at a discount. I mentioned it twice already, but the simple way, number one, is that we are truly going to be buying properties at a discount, ideally 15 to 20% minimum. If we can buy properties at 25, 30, 35%, then that's going to be even greater. Okay. That's going to be even better for us. Right. But again, we typically want to be at least 15% if we see the ability to add value with the rehab. If we think the rehab is going to essentially be a break even. And what I mean by that is we spend 20 and the value goes up 20. We didn't create any additional value. Then we want to be at 20%, at a discount when we're buying it. But again, sometimes I can be at 30% or 35% discount, which only helps our stance here. Guys, simple way number two, is increasing its value by the rehab. All right. So updating the property, ideally for every $2, ideally $2 of increased value for every $1 spent. But I'm going to be honest, that is kind of, what's the word here? Optimistic. If I go spend 20,000 on a rehab, is the property value going to go up 40? Maybe, but maybe not. Typically it's going to be pretty close to 1-to-1 or just above that. So yes, this is an approach, but I really want to emphasize here that the best way about doing this is buying at a discount. Are you going to increase the value rehabbing it? Well, you should, absolutely, but don't count on, putting down 20,000 in rehab and getting a $40,000 appreciated value. It's possible, but it's much easier to buy at a discount and not count on that increased value. But regardless, these two ways are simply put how we are going to go about achieving the goal, which is to be, which is to be all in, purchase, rehab, interest, everything at 80% of that number. All right.